Edgemere Firehouse without resident involvement, with no master plan, and no competitive bidding of professional services. These are just a few of the bad decisions the board has made, and there are others. The firehouse was the last straw for me and was the impetus to do something better for our residents. So I became a member of FABGC as part of a coalition of distinguished citizens seeking to include residents in our governmental decision-making process as members of special committees and to vote on these critical issues confronting our village. We seek your support, and I thank you for joining us this evening. John?
All right, so as far as your village involvement, I know you've had a lot. Do you want to share with us anything in particular, maybe about the property owners association involvement or your architectural review board work?
Well, in regards to the WPOA, which I think is a great institution, we formed a committee because we weren't getting really a good response from the trustees involved with the firehouse, the Edgemere Firehouse. So our committee was formed in the latter part of 2019, and we started to ask questions about how things were developing for the firehouse. And lo and behold, we realized that the Board of Trustees was making a decision to demolish the firehouse. So our committee got together and said, well, why is this happening? And we saw that the costs were escalating from $6 million to $7 million to $10 million. Some people said over $10 million to tear down a firehouse and build something that looks just like the existing firehouse. And so I was appalled at that. And I said, why don't you analyze to see what can be salvaged in this firehouse? What can we accommodate? But even before that there was no master plan developed by the village to understand how this particular firehouse was going to work in concert with the rest of the firehouses in the village. So the committee was formed by a group of residents from the WPOA, including myself. Then I realized that in order to properly vet this issue, I had to provide professional services. I had to provide some drawings and some analysis so that my committee members can really take a strong position. And that's what we did.
And I know your bio's been posted and many have probably read it, but you want to share a little bit of your business, your background?
Well, I'm an architect for over 35 years. I'm licensed in several states. My firm is an award-winning firm. We do historic preservation work. We do contemporary work. We do building envelope work. So we're involved in various facets of design. And we also do interior work as well, depending on what our clients' needs are. So again, I think I bring a different kind of perspective as a potential mayor for the village, where I have a tremendous knowledge when it comes to preservation. And not only that, project development, dealing with contractors, dealing with change orders, dealing with the whole process of how do you sign a contract, and represent the village in this kind of design, design issues. So again, I think my background is a strong background, and I think it's what's needed now because we have these issues coming up in the village. St. Paul's is looming. It's a huge, huge project. It's going to require tremendous effort by the residents to really understand what needs to be done, what can be done. And I would orchestrate that by initially starting a committee to really start analyzing what is possible with St. Paul's. It's been lingering on for too many years. A decision has to be made. And again, I just look at what's happened recently with the Board of Trustees. They're trying to do a stabilization project. They can't even count the number of windows correctly. And that's insane. We're supposed to be professionals. We're supposed to find the best people to serve the village and give us the best information. It seems like they keep falling on their swords all the time. So my position is that I want to get residents who are really knowledgeable in legal matters, in the financial matters, in the construction matters, to be involved in a special committee. And I would do that immediately.
Now, St. Paul's, I know that's, a topic with many different opinions within the village, even within FABGC. What is the platform, FABGC's platform, that the candidates are all committed to on St. Paul's?
Well, I think everybody on the committee has discussed with me that they want it to be as transparent as possible. They want to vet the issues, and they want to have resident involvement. And if a decision has to be made, whether to tear it down or to reconstruct it or to give it adaptive reuse, the voters must have a say.
Can I ask a question that came in via chat?
Yeah.
So I was led to believe the mayor does not have a vote unless there's a tie break necessary among the trustees. Is that a misconception? If not, how much power does the mayor truly have?
I think the mayor does have the power to break a tie in that particular situation.
I believe the mayor, everybody has one vote, and if it's a tie, like the mayor exercises
two votes.
the polls, then the mayor votes the tie.
Okay, sorry, one more. And anybody feel free to raise your hand and ask the question yourself, or chat me that you just have a question. Not necessary to chat me the question unless you just want to. I'm also happy to take them that way. But do you have any feedback on the community agreement?
Well, we're not against the community agreement at all, right? We're looking to create, change in the Board of Trustees by trying to vote in a group of residents, right, that can make a substantial change. By voting one or two people to the Board of Trustees is not going to change this board. You need to vote in 4 to 5 people that represent a change in government. And that's what FABGC is about. We're trying to make the whole system more transparent, provide competitive bidding of all these issues of, for example, professionals should be competitively bid. A contract for a professional, be it an attorney, be it an accountant, be it an architect or engineer, should be vetted. We should have multiple bids and select the best person at the lowest cost. To me, in my business, this is what we do every day.
I mean, just one thing to add on FABGC did run an article, a little while back on the community agreement, and it is something as a group we've discussed. And one thing that's clear in our platform, we're not against the community agreement. The community agreement, has an interesting history, and it basically, all the community agreement did was establish that there should be equal representation amongst the 4 sections of Garden City.
Right.
It didn't set out how the sections would nominate their candidates, but that really, it's been amended over the years as the village has grown, but it doesn't include the specific manner in which the candidates are submitted for the election. And the FABGC is putting forth a slate in compliance with the community agreement. We're putting up someone from the east, someone from the west, estates and central, and the mayoral candidate we're putting up is also from the west, based on the community agreement and the process we have. So there's nothing in this challenge that is against the community agreement, nor is FABGC against the community agreement. If that's clear.
All right, shifting a little bit. Do you have a position on the subdivisions of residential properties that have seemingly become so prevalent?
Yes, I do have a position on that. And as a member of the Architectural Design Review Board, I voted against these subdivisions. I've been involved in 3 of them, and I voted against all 3 of them. And then, in fact, I represented some residents at the Zoning Board of Appeals, where they were taking a large lot in the western section to divide it up into 2 smaller lots. And I contested it because I felt that it would increase the density in the area and the structures would be out of character. So again, I was able to convince the zoning board in that particular instance not to go ahead and subdivide that property. On the Tannis Pond Road issue, that was already approved by the zoning board when we received it at the ADRB, and we really had no choice but to deal with the architectural issues. But to jam 2 homes on a lot, as you can see, it feels out of context for the rest of the community. I think the only person that benefits by that is the developer, right? The village has lost in that respect. So I am against doing that, even though it is permitted as a right under the zoning law, right? What I would do is work with the zoning board when they get a project like this and look at the architectural design review board to analyze what the impact would be to the community and to the neighbors. Because, you know, if there's no benefit to the residents, I'm not interested. That's my position.
Yeah.
Is that you, Don?
Change the zoning law itself, so the architectural review board has the support, so it can't be done? Is it possible to change the zoning rules so that you don't even have lawyer
Yes.
contractors
Yes, Don,
looking
the
at
zoning laws
property?
could be changed. They could be changed. But what I'm saying under these particular circumstances, you know, based on the current zoning, this is what is permitted, right? So, you know, we've had this discussion at the ADRB. We haven't sought legal counsel yet on this issue, but I will definitely pursue this.
Thank you.
You're muted,
You
John.
muted,
John, we can't hear you.
John?
Of course I am.
Okay,
I'm
when
only
the
the
Google
person-
guy mutes
I'm only
himself,
the
that's a
person
problem.
supposed to be asking questions. Of course I am. I've got one virtual and then a live question. Why mayor and not just trustee? What do you see as the mayor's job as compared to the board of trustee and the importance of it?
Well, I mean, the mayor will set the tone for the village. Again, I think the mayor has to take a strong position on how the board of trustees has to address these issues. And again, I don't think one person can make the difference in running against the board. We have to run as a coalition, as a group of residents that want change. And that's why I joined FABGC.
Next one's coming from Tom O'Brien. You can unmute yourself, Tom.
Okay,
Can you hear? Oh,
it's actually my
it's
wife.
actually Donna O'Brien. And, you know, I wanted to just comment, Cosmo, the example you gave, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
The example you gave of the school board committee was an excellent example because things were really out of control. And fortunately, this committee of experts was assembled, including you, that really got great value for the village dollars and ended up with a wonderful project for the school board and the village. So I think, you know, my take on things, and I'm a lifelong resident born in Garden City, is that things have really gone in the wrong direction of late with limited expertise making decisions on behalf of our village. So I'm really happy to see you in particular and others who are getting involved to bring expertise back, to bring some balance and expertise to our village leadership. It's been very disturbing what's been happening lately.
Well, I appreciate your comments and let me explain. When I first got involved years ago, I was asked by members of the Board of Trustees to get involved in a committee, right? They were seeking residents who had experience in construction at that particular time and design. And they asked me to get involved with the school construction projects. And what we did, that committee, which was comprised of some excellent residents, what we did was we analyzed what the architect was doing at the time, and we realized we had the wrong architect. He wasn't a school architect. And so what we did was we said, okay, stop right there. We set out an RFP and we interviewed 12 architectural firms with great experience in schools. And we got the best architect for the job at the lowest cost. And we saved a ton of money. We saved probably $20 million worth of construction costs from the original budget. And that was amazing to me because, like I said, the committee was comprised of attorneys, of financial people, of construction people, myself, and we had a tremendous focus on seeing what we can do to maintain the program and save the village money. So my point is that committees are really important, right? To get residents involved is really important. And it does take time. I mean, I'm running a business, I'm running a practice for over 35 years. And my wife doesn't even realize how much time I spend sometimes out of the office. So I'm always doing
Because now-
something. And she says, what are you doing tonight? Well, I'm going to be on a Zoom call with a bunch of people, I said. So again, I think there's a tremendous benefit in volunteering your professional expertise, whatever point of view you have. And I'm a very accommodating person. I'm a very inclusive person. I've coached soccer for 16 years. And when I started coaching soccer, I never said to a child, "Oh, you're not good enough or you can't be involved." What we did was we looked at that particular player and made him better and made him part of the team. And that's my approach to dealing with people, dealing with my office staff. We all work together. And what I find about this board is I don't see any professionals. I don't see any committees. I don't see any groups representing the Board of Trustees on these really, really difficult matters. Now, why would you tear down a firehouse in the western section without doing a real analysis of what the village needs? That's incomprehensible to me. Yeah, so those are the kinds of things I really want to fight against. I want to correct those things. And another thing I should say about FABGC is that we're in favor of term limits, right? I don't want to be here for 10 years. I want to do this in about 2 years, 3 years time. That's it.
Okay, an easy one. Any thoughts on the casino?
Oh, well, that's pretty easy. They need an agreement like yesterday. I mean, that's a village institution and also designed by a famous American architect. But that's not on the National Register of Historic Places, but it's a beautiful structure. It serves the community really well. And there's no reason why they can't have an agreement for the next 20, 30 years.
All right. Do you have any thoughts about maybe courting tax-paying businesses on Franklin as opposed to all the hospital offices we have now? Thoughts on increasing tax revenue in general?
Well, I mean, the tax base is being eroded, as you can see. We have the Sears building now is being taken over by Northwell. These are some major issues that I would defer to some really strong financial people in the village, how to address those matters.
Can you share your vision on how you would increase community participation during village board meetings and more broadly on projects?
Well, what I would do is I would increase the amount of time people can speak. That's number one. I think there shouldn't be a limitation on just 4 minutes. I think if there's something really important to discuss, people should be given the right amount of time to discuss it, right? That's number one. I think people should be dealt with more respect. I mean, I've been attacked at some board meetings and some public hearings, and I don't like it. I mean, I'm trying to ask a question and they think I'm combative. So again, just asking a question and they try to label you to be a combative individual, I think that's disrespectful.
All right. Can you speak with regard to the village budget and know of any specific areas of concern and your ideas for change?
Well, the village budget right now is about $66 million. I mean, I think in terms of fiduciary responsibility, I think the Board of Trustees has tried to keep the village budget under control. Taxes are low, and we would try to pursue that same scenario.
All right, we've got a live question from Allison Parks. If you want to unmute yourself.
Hello. Excuse my ignorance about a lot of these issues, so this may be a stupid question, but here it goes. I'm wondering how the property owners associations feel about FABGC. Are they for this independent committee? Are they against it? And I understand that the next mayor is chosen from one of the POAs. Do we know who the next mayor will be if Cosmo doesn't win, or is that all to be determined?
Don?
Just I know a little bit about the government. it rotates from the senior Board of Trustees representative in each of the sections. So 6 years ago, the rotation was Brian Dawney because he was the senior person. It then rotates, and this is the POA's candidates as a party. It rotates then to our mayor now, and she was next in line. And the west section, according to the community agreement, would be, I'm sorry, the community agreement, the next mayor should be from the western section, according to just the POAs. That would be Bob Bolbrook, who is the most senior person I think has been involved in the POAs and the BOT for just about 25 years. There have been challenges outside the POA system. And we were asked to go through the POA systems, as was Cosmo. The many representatives from the Western Property Association called me and said, please have Cosmo work with us. But as Cosmo so clearly explained before, the feeling was that the Board of Trustees needs a cultural change, and one or two people from maybe the East section or the estates is not enough to do the fundamental change that we feel the board needs. So I'll let Cosmo finish up, but that's how the structure of the rotating government works. The POAs are not part of the community agreement in any manner. The community agreement never mentions the POAs. And for a lot of years, I think that, when the community agreement started with 2,000 people in Garden City and only 3 sections, it probably worked well, and there probably were never projects over $1 million. I'm not sure that system is functioning well right now. That would be my thoughts. I'm sorry, Cosmo.
No, I'm glad you discussed this properly, Don. No, I think, again, I think the POAs do provide a tremendous service to the community, have done for many, many years. But I think the process there is more of selection rather than election. And I don't think we get the best people sometimes to come forward. And, and I've gone to interviews at the POA to become a trustee. And, they pretty much discussed with me that, you haven't been to this picnic and you haven't been to this lunch. And I said, well, I'm a professional. I've been a professional for 35 years. I've worked on committees for the village. I've been on special committees, so I can't be everywhere. So I had to pick and choose what I can do to help the village. So again, I am a member of the WPOA. I volunteer my services to them. I think the WPOA is a strong group, and I think they would support me in my endeavor. Again, I think we need to see who the best people are in the village to fit these roles at the Board of Trustees. And I've attended these meetings, like I said before, and I've seen people be ridiculed. And that is unacceptable to me, right? You don't treat people that way, especially your own neighbors, your own residents, right? If you have something to say it, right? And say it so that you can be helpful and assist, in solving a problem rather than creating a problem. Look how long it's been taking this Board of Trustees to address St. Paul's. It's unbelievable to me, right? They hired some of the best professionals, but nothing gets done. It's been years. I asked the question, why wasn't the roof fixed 2 years ago? The roof still isn't fixed. So that kind of stuff has to stop, right? That's just stupidity, in my opinion, right? And again, in my business, we deal with schedules, we deal with budgets, we deal with legal matters, we deal with how to get things done. And that's my position. I want to get things done, and I want to get things done on schedule. So if I get a group of people in the village that want to address St. Paul's, I'm going to tell them, this is what you're going to do. I need it done in 6 months, or I need it done in a year, and we need the results, right? And if they don't provide the results, they're not going to be there. And if I don't provide the results, I don't want to be there, right? And I want the residents to say, listen, Cosmo, you're doing a great job or you're doing a bad job. Tell me what I'm doing, right? But I know that if I make a commitment, I'll get the job done.
Thank you.
All right, with the loss of guaranteed fire protection and severe allegations of negligence 300 yards away from a firehouse with personnel in it, what concerns do you have regarding the village public safety and how would you approach them?
That is extremely distressing to me on various fronts, right? To see that family run for their lives. The main central firehouse is essentially around the corner and the house burns down. That is unbelievable to me. Now, why did that happen? There should be an investigation why that happened, right? Again, we have a volunteer fire force which does a great job. Maybe we need to increase some paid full-time firemen to be at every firehouse, right? To be stationed 24/7. I'm not asking to hire 60 people, maybe 6 people to do that and get things done maybe a little bit more efficiently. But to see a house like that and a family suffer is terrible what happened. I really feel badly about that. I also feel badly about it. It was a historic home, one of the H.G. Stewart homes that family was very proud of maintaining. And as a member of the Architectural Design Review Board, when that family came to us and said, listen, I want to rebuild my home, but now they couldn't rebuild the original design because it was so destroyed, they came up with a different design. And the ADRB spent quite a while analyzing the design and telling the architect to make some improvements. And now they're going to come back with hopefully another sort of neo-historical home that'll fit that site. But again, discussing the fire department, there has to be some sort of investigation on why that happened, and it has to be corrected.
Right. Can any of the current Board of Trustees decisions, such as the firehouse, casino, and the electrical transmission poles, be rectified, or are they set in stone?
I just lost you, sorry.
Did you hear me, Cosmo?
Yeah, I just lost my video. You can hear me?
We can hear you and see you.
Yeah.
Okay, can you repeat the question, please? I'm sorry.
Sure. Can any of the current Board of Trustees decisions, such as the firehouse, casino, and the electrical transmission poles, be rectified, or are they set in stone?
Well, obviously, if they were able to remove them in Eastport, right, they could remove them here. There's a precedent set for that. I think the board made a good decision in trying to spend some money, some legal dollars to try to solve the problem. Again, that is a terrible situation that happened to those property owners that are affected by those monster poles. And like I said, if they were able to remove them in Eastport, we should be able to remove them in Garden City.
The other part of the question was around the casino and the firehouse, but I think the gist of it was, can these decisions be reversed?
I definitely think they can be reversed. I think we have to fight for the residents.
Okay. The trend of executive session decision-making is very disturbing and never part of our history. What is your philosophy on this?
Repeat that again. Sorry, John.
No worries. The trend of executive session decision-making is very disturbing and never part of our history. What is your philosophy on this?
Well, that's also part of the open meetings law. I mean, we really should have as much transparency as possible for the residents to understand what is going on. The Board of Trustees, a group of 8 people should not be making those kinds of decisions without some resident input, especially on issues that really affect taxpayer dollars and projects that cost millions of dollars. I really do think that the residents need a voice.
Okay, easy binary answer question. Are there currently term limits for the BOT?
There are term limits, I believe, in terms of the Board of Trustees. They will serve certain terms, but obviously they can be renominated for those positions. As Dorney has come back as first originally as a trustee, then a mayor, and then a trustee again. So he served for, I think, 6 years straight. So obviously they do come back, and the term limits that I would impose would be much more strict.
I don't think there are firm, from the research I've done, I don't think there are firm term limits. I think there were traditions that were always followed that this group has stopped following. For instance, Dorney, once, as everybody was a mayor, when they were done with the mayor, They retired. They let the new mayor, exercise their influence, bring new blood in. So I think there are term limits on the POAs. I do not believe the Board of Trustees, but the traditions that were here when I grew up have been all thrown out the window. I'm sorry to interrupt, Cosmo.
No, it's okay. I mean, again, I wish I could see you, but on my screen, I don't know what happened with my computer. It just went kaput.
We can see you. That's all we need.
Oh, you can see us? You can
Oh,
see me?
yeah, we see you, Cosmo. Yeah.
Okay, I just see a screen that says Adobe Flash Player.
Oh man, that's not good. Adobe
No.
was killed this year.
Yeah.
How do we support Cosmo? Do you need help to distribute flyers? And when is the vote?
I think the vote is March 16th. Am I correct, Don?
Yes.
Okay, so if it's March 16th, we need people to volunteer. You know, we have to put together, we actually have put together a whole campaign of putting out flyers, meeting people in public as best we can, under the COVID requirements, and trying to just get the word out that here we have a new group of residents that really want to make a difference.
Okay, I feel like you answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyways because it was posted in the chat. Would Cosmo support the lawsuit against the monster poles that have been installed along the LIRR tracks in the estate section and spearhead the fight to have power lines buried underground? Note, Esports sued LIPA and lost the case, but the 32 monster poles were eventually removed and the lines buried.
Absolutely, I definitely would support that.
And then interestingly, follow up to that, are you aware that the Esport poles were on land not owned by the utility when in fact the GC poles are on land owned by the railroad?
Well, it's still a plausible fight. We have to make, we have to pursue this. I mean, look what happened to that portion of our village. It looks like a hydroelectric field. It's unacceptable, right? So apparently there were trustees involved with this process, and those trustees should have been really on the watch. The minute that first pole was installed, they should have said, stop right there, get a court injunction, and just say, listen, this is not what we understood the process to be. And I think that's really where the Board of Trustees failed.
Okay. What about using the Zoom meetings to increase participation in board meetings? Getting to Cluett Hall is not very practical.
Well, we have to do something. I mean, COVID is raging now. We have to keep everybody involved to some degree, and the only way to do it right now is electronically. So the Zoom calls are working pretty well. We're using them in our practice, and many other people are using them, and they are effective.
All right. Let's see. How do residents vote, and who counts the vote?
Mary, can you answer that?
I'll give it a shot.
wanna take it?
I was down at the village hall today just on this question. The village everybody's able to get an absentee ballot that can be then brought into the village, or it can be mailed in, or you can elect on March 16th. The village administrator, Karen Altman, has a group of evenly divided Democrats and Republicans that have been trained in election law that actually do all the counting. There is procedures to have observers, which she has pointed out is normally not done, but normally there's not a campaign. But it is, I would consider, professionalized. The elections are under Nassau and New York State law. It's not a Garden City Board of Trustees POA election. So I'm sure both the POA and FAB will have some observers there, but it's a professionalized process, if that answers the question, which I did not know that answer yesterday.
An absentee ballot should be available.
Yes, they are.
So that's something we'll encourage everyone to take advantage of.
Okay. Does For a Better Garden City have plans to submit the petition in time to the village to ensure the candidates' names are on the ballot versus write-in?
We're on it.
Yes, we're definitely on that.
Yeah, we do have a petition. And actually, the folks who are asking the questions about volunteering, make sure, email, we have an email address. So we are organizing our volunteers. So make sure you email our info at fabgc.org. No.
info.fabgc@gmail.com. Or you can follow the website where the Facebook page. And we'll be asking all those people to help us be organized within the next probably 10 to 12 days.
So we appreciate all help.
Okay, I have actually reached the end, I think. If I missed anybody's, Zoom has just kind of a single thread of chats. It's not super easy to keep organized.
I could certainly ask a couple that have come in off the Facebook page in the last couple of days.
Do it.
Cosmo, what is your view on the dog park, which I had never heard of?
Where, at St. Paul's?
I don't know. They just asked what's your view on the dog park?
Well, I like dogs, so I don't mind it. I think you have to obviously design it really well, and it'll be a great amenity for the village.
Somebody asked if you had a view on technology in the high school.
No, not yet. I don't have enough information about the high school, how they're running. I know that when we did the school alteration projects, we try to make all the libraries sort of a central, intelligence center for the students. So I don't know what's happened since then. I would have to revisit that.
Okay, and there was one, what can we do to help the property values in Garden City?
What can we do to help them? I think
I'm just reading the questions.
I think they're in pretty good shape, and they are going up from what I understand.
That's all I had.
Oh, I've got two more now. Will absentee ballots be able to be sent in electronically or via email?
Absentee ballots will be able to, the absentee ballot, when signed, will be able to be sent in or hand delivered. It will not be able to be emailed in. The request for an absentee ballot will be able to be emailed in. And we'll get those out to everybody within the next 2 weeks.
And how many votes do you expect it will take to win the election?
That's a good
Feels like we're
question.
giving something away there. A lot.
Whatever
all of
somebody
them.
has +1.
All of them. All right. If elected, but the rest of FABGC is not, how would you fit into the Board of Trustees and make sure to fit so you can still reach your goals?
It's going to be much harder, obviously. Like I said before, one person on this board is going to have a difficult time. I mean, remember, there's a culture here at this board. There's people who've been here for a long time. And if you can see also by the voting of the Board of Trustees, they vote unanimously, which is a little odd to me, that nobody else has any other opinion. So again, I'm a little concerned about that, having only one person or two people on this board. It'll be much harder to make any change, that's for sure.
All right. Let's see. I'm concerned that our recycling efforts are more than futile and the materials are headed to incinerators. Would you be willing to look into this? As an example, we are commingling plastics, which makes them unrecyclable.
Yes, I think, there are a lot of environmental issues in Garden City. Garbage disposal, recycling, you have leaf blowers, that's another issue. Again, I'm for, a better environmental situation for all residents. Because of COVID, many people are working from home, including myself. I don't work, full-time in my office in the city. I have to split my time between my home office and then my office in the city. And sometimes I'm on calls and there are 3 guys blowing with their leaf blowers outside my yard, and it's very hard to hear anything. Not only that, all the debris and dust that they create I don't know how effective they are. So again, I would really revisit some of these environmental issues that are affecting the village, especially these leaf blowers, noise, cars running. People park their cars near the Long Island Railroad Station and they just keep the cars running forever. It makes no sense to me. We're polluting the environment. We're ruining our own environment here, and that makes no sense. So I am definitely for any kind of environmental impact that improves the lives of our residents.
I don't know how to convince people that I didn't write this, but I'll say it anyways. It is a low moment in Garden City history. And thank you so very much, Cosmo, for stepping up at this critical time.
Well, I appreciate that comment. And again, it's not only myself stepping up, it's the rest of the members of this group and other people in the village that want to help.
And would you rotate back into trustee after a stint as mayor?
I'm not sure. I'm getting older, and I was originally on a 10-year plan. Now I think I'm on a 5-year plan. So I don't know what's going to happen. I know that for a fact that I want to make a commitment for 2-3 years to see if we can make it a real change to the village and help us get back on track. You have some major projects that are looming. You have St. Paul's, you have the firehouse issues, you have the monster poles. I mean, there's so many things that have to happen and in a short period of time, and it's going to take a tremendous effort on everybody's part.
Okay. I'm a career firefighter, not me, the question asker, and have been involved in designing fire apparatus. Has the Garden City Fire Department given the WPOA committee any documentation of why they need such an apparatus in the West? And a follow-up to that, has the fire department approached apparatus manufacturers with consideration of building the apparatus within the dimensions, given that most manufacturers do for other municipalities?
Well, yes. And again, the fire department hasn't given us much information. It's taken us a long time. Our committee in the Western Property Owners Association has taken a long time to get information from the fire department and from the architect that was hired by the village. And again, one of the comments I made in the presentation to the Western Property Owners Association and to the Board of Trustees was that these fire trucks are built on spec. It's not as if you go to a showroom and say, I want that fire truck, it looks great, I'll take it. It doesn't work that way with fire trucks, apparatus of that size. You have to give them a specification and they will build it to match your specification. So they can build it to height and width and to capacity and to loading requirements. So again, the firefighter who made that comment is correct. These fire trucks are built on spec.
Does FABGC have a complete set of candidates with trustees from each section? And if so, who?
I think, Don, you should answer that question.
Well, we have Cosmo here tonight. We have Mary Flanagan and Terry Deegan, which will be on next week's call. And then the following week, I don't know if it's officially announced, but I might as well say it. We have Mr. O'Brien, who just recently joined us, who I've grown up with, will be on that call, as well as Bruce Chester from the estate section. So there is a full platform. And as Cosmo said, one of the reasons is, and Cosmo and Mary and myself, and I think everybody in FAB agrees, that we really need a cultural change on the board. And 1 or 2 people are not going to be able to do that. We've heard over the years, people that have very good intentions from one particular POA, they get on that board to change the culture, but one person is not going to be able to change the culture of that board. And that was one of the fundamental reasons why FAB did not work through the POA system, because we didn't feel just 1 or 2 candidates would make a difference, that we really needed the full slate. And we hope people will support the full slate, because if you like Cosmo or you like Mary, but you want them to be able to accomplish things, we actually feel we need the full slate of people that have a kind of maybe a fresh view of the Board of Trustees and are willing to do things a little differently around the open meeting laws, how you treat residents. The casino is a great example. The casino has not been talked to in any official manner for well over 3 years now. I personally just find that incredibly hard to believe that we have 200 resident families in a club that's been here 125 years and has no official communication. So that, yes, there is a full slate. And obviously with the mayor, and the next 2 Wednesdays, we will be introducing 2 at a time.
If not elected, will you still continue your bout as the, at the AD committee for the town?
Of course. And I'll still also be a member of the Firehouse Committee from the Western Property Owners Association, because I really have to help them.
All right. And somebody asked me to repeat the email address for FABGC. It's info, and I also typed this, but info.fabgc@gmail.com for anybody else that may have been wondering and didn't chat.
So one last thing I want to say, John, I want everybody who's on this call to tell their friends and tell their neighbors and family members to please vote for us. We really need your vote. We really want to make a change. And I think you can see right now, just based on Mary and myself and Donna and John, that we really have a vested interest in making sure things happen in the village and are going to make the residents' lives much better. And this is why we want to get involved. We think we can help.
Is that all the questions, John?
No.
Okay.
How can we volunteer for FABGC? Are you fundraising?
Sure. Sign them up.
Yeah, yes, and on our website, I'm sorry, on the Facebook page, if you're right there, the email will give you the directions, because obviously we do not have the ability to print up 6-page multicolored laminated flyers. So we're kind of the people involved are chipping in, but any help is greatly appreciated. I will get you the directions. Kevin Kiley has set it up to do it. So we have hired a lawyer, but a lot of it we are doing on social media and by word of mouth. And Mary, you probably want to mention that the next several Wednesdays we will have meetings.
Yeah, this is going to be a weekly event, so spread the word. Thank you all for coming. Any other questions, John, or is that?
No, just a quick follow-up on the fundraising. We will take payments through Zelle, etc. We are setting up official stuff here.
All right, so we'll be back on that.
And I will get the instructions to everybody.
Cosmo,
Kevin.
thank you so much. I'm glad that everyone had a chance to get to know you better tonight and what a fantastic candidate you'll be for the village.
I really thank everybody for joining us.
We look forward to seeing everybody next Wednesday, same time, same place. Actually, it'll be a different link, but same time on Zoom.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.